Debbie with Kip's Corner. Welcome back, and if you're a new subscriber, welcome. Today I'm working on a new journal cover, and this is the cover that I'm going to use with, it's a design team project for Susan Taylor Brown, who is Poppiness on Etsy, and I'm going to be using her kit called Forest Morning, I think. I'll double check that. And I'm also going to connect that and use Love Junk Journals, Tracy Fox's The Sketchbook kit. So I'm going to put those two together and create something. And so I'm working on the cover, and I kind of struggled with this just a little bit. I knew that I wanted to do another mixed media cover, and of course I love including vintage laces, but I also didn't want this to look, like all of the other ones. So here's what I've done. This is a frame from the Tim Holtz baseboards frames, and these were, here you go. They're the greens, which doesn't matter because I completely ended up with this, which is blue. So what I did is I took the baseboard, and I covered the whole thing with white crackle paste. Let that dry overnight. And you can see we've got some nice little crackling in there. You can see. And then what I did was I painted the whole thing black. And then I went back over it with a blue acrylic paint that I had. And then I went over it with a gold Gilder's wax paste. But it was too, at that stage, well, no, after I put the Gilder's wax paste on it, then I added these. These are little pieces of cork fabric that they're just triangles that I just wrapped around, and you can see the back. You can see I just wrapped triangles around, and then, but it was too bright. It wasn't, the colors weren't really, I knew that I wanted to use this fabric, and the colors weren't really working for me. So I went back over the whole piece and dry brushed it with white gesso, and that toned it down and gave it a little more of a faded look. And then down here, because of this extra wide piece down here, I wanted to kind of close that off with something. So I just poked a hole, and this is a little leather brad that you can affix to pieces of leather. So you can see I've got the hole poked here, and it's glued in nicely with some glossy accents. So that's what I've got here. And now I want to play with how to use the frame. And the blues are not really, they're complimentary, I guess. But by the time I build this up with some stuff, I think it will work and look good. And for the inside of the frame, I think what I want to do, and this might not be the one I use, but this is just a piece that I was playing with. This is from the Sketchbook, and it was printed on cardstock. I think this was actually one of the pockets. Printed on cardstock, and then I added the beeswax to it, which will protect that if I use it on the cover or whichever image I end up using. But I'm thinking perhaps this one, perhaps another one, but it goes in the frame like that. So yeah, so that's kind of where I am. That's how far I've gotten. I've got some stuff here that I've pulled that I want to play with and see if it works. Some vintage doilies, a piece of suede, this is a piece of Irish linen from an old handkerchief that's been kind of frayed. All the stuff's been chopped off the sides. Some crochet lace pieces. Yeah, so that's what I got in my little pile over here, and I'm just going to kind of play, thinking that this might be what goes in the center of that image. So my first thought is that this little doily, which is patinaed and aged beautifully here, it's kind of, it's actually not even, it's got splotches, it's spotty, but it's really pretty. And I think that might go there kind of like that. Let's tuck that in just to get an idea of what it might look like. Kind of like that. And then I would cut it off here. So I'm focusing my attention just here on the front. So we'll start with that as a base, I think. And then I'm thinking something along, so maybe I would sew this Irish linen to the back of this piece of suede here. Get it straight maybe, but something like that. So I have the frayed edges kind of poking out. Maybe just a little bit more than the frayed edges, kind of like that. Again, you know, we'd even her up here. And then perhaps this little guy sits on top of that, I think, maybe. I mean, this is where my head is right now. Doesn't mean this is where it's going to end up. It looks completely different when you slip that's why I play with this like this, so I can kind of get a better picture. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, something along those lines. And then maybe I use some of these doilies to kind of play with a little bit more. Okay, so first up, I think what I want to do, is sew these together and even this up and get that pretty. So I think I'll run some zigzag stitches along these edges and see where that takes me and see if I like it. And if I don't, I'll just set it aside and use it for something else. But I really do like this doily here for the base. It's got some of the shape and the movement of the piece, sort of complements the shapes and the movement of the fabric that's underneath here. And then I may just leave the back just this blue fabric. I mean, it's a pretty fabric, and hopefully it'll have kind of a little bit of a springy feel to it. So that's where I am. I'm gonna go sew this together and play with that a little bit, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. Let's see, here's what I did. I just took a piece of that linen, and it's like a linen, and just did some zigzags. I did 2 rows around the edge. It's subtle. I used a brown thread, so it's subtle, and it's not straight, but that's okay, because that's fine. And I'm thinking, you know, that sits on there, or maybe even it sits at an angle. So we'll play with that just a little bit more. But first I want to go ahead and get this down, because I know I want this to be my base. I also know that, let's bring that in just a little bit. There we go. That I probably want to trim this off about right there. Let's see, let me turn this straight, just so when I cut it, it'll be easier to cut. I don't know if that's straight or not. Yeah, kind of like that. Okay, so I'm just gonna take a snip right down there. So hold your breath, I'm cutting the vintage doily. You know, the way I see this, I get these doilies usually. Of course, I haven't been to one in a while because of, well, you know, the whole COVID thing. But I get these doilies at estate sales, and they are, you know, I feel like I'm giving the opportunity to them to enjoy a new life and to be enjoyed by someone who will be using the journal and appreciate the beauty. And otherwise, it's very likely that they are going to be recycled or thrown away or, you know, otherwise disposed of, or thrown in a closet somewhere, never to be heard from again. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Okay, I kind of I don't know what I'm gonna do yet right here, but I know that this, I'll be able to cover up that edge, so I'm not real worried about it, about it not being perfectly straight or anything like that. I'll do something here that covers that up, or that edges it. I don't know if that makes sense. We'll see. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start and get this glued down. I am going to use Fabri-Tac. Fabri-Tac is, I might use a little bit of glitter glue in a couple of places, but I'm just going to start down here and put glue in the thicker parts of the crochet, the parts where it won't seep through too terribly bad. And then what I can do is go back and hit the edges with art glitter glue and kind of get a nice fine adhering. Now I just have to decide if I want to wrap this around or if I want to cut it off. It's not going to hurt anything if I wrap it around and glue right here, as long as I get it, in further than what my end papers will be. So I think that's fine, and it's not too thick and heavy. If it were really thick and bulky, I wouldn't want to do that, but it's not. So I'm going to go ahead and get some glue in here, on here. Just so I can stick it and then I'll trim it. I think that'll be easier. There we go. And I got glue all over my hands. Glue in there too. Glue everywhere. Okay. Push that down a little bit, let that sit for a second, and then I'll come back and trim that. So let's do the same thing here. Make sure I'm in camera. And I'm not using a ton, really, just enough to, because there'll be a paper that comes in there and holds that down too, so. That's the problem with working with these lace, is that the glue goes right through it. But, so you end up with glue all over your hands. There's probably an easier way. Okay. I think that's gonna do it. So let me trim this off here. Trim right there. There we go. I'll keep that for something, maybe something a little bit later. I'll trim this one off too. I'm just trying to trim it even with where that fabric is, where that fabric ends. Okay, oops, there we go. Yeah, I think that works. And voila, we got pretty crochet piece on the front. Okay, next up, here, let me close my glue before it dries out on me. And then I have to sit and poke and figure out how to open it up. I can't get that in there for the life of me. Okay, now. So I've got this piece, and I don't want, see how that kind of closes that off there, like that. But now that I see this, I'm just wondering if perhaps that's too much. I don't want to cover up all of this beautiful crochet. I do want you know, I mean, I put it on there, right? I want it to be seen. So I'm wondering if that piece of I'm thinking now maybe this piece of suede is just too much, too big, too much. But I want a little more, a little something, something more going on here than what I'm seeing so far. And this piece, I don't know if I said this or not, but I put a layer of beeswax on this. So this will be protected on the cover, and the beeswax will help give it that protection that it needs. Oh my, oh me, oh my. So this is where I don't know. Let's see. We've got these pieces. I just wonder who, I mean, that's kind of cool. Okay, what I need is a strip of something kind of right here. So let me go see what I can find. And then I think perhaps I use this lace. Maybe that'll be enough to do what I want it to do. Okay, I'm going to go dig around and see if I can find some kind of a trim or something. I still can't decide about this. It's just so big that I feel like it almost covers up too much of that beautiful crochet. So now, you know, decisions. Perhaps I should have trimmed it a little bit smaller just so that it was just a much smaller piece behind there. I mean, I do like it, but I'm torn because I really want some of this to show through. And I do like the idea of layers. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. So I'll be back. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back again. So I've gone back to the brown, the suede being behind there. I do really like that dark color, sort of, I think it helps to make the piece pop out a little bit more. So what I'm thinking, I think I'm going to take this trim and put it underneath this piece, just here on the top and the bottom. Then I'll cut off here and here. And then, so I'll do that. And then I'll put this piece on top of the brown. The crochet trim will tone it down just a tiny bit, but then it'll also help it pop. And then I'm going to have this trim piece here edging this crochet. So that'll kind of frame that in. Okay, I think that's what I'm going to do. This piece actually has a flaw in it, a little fray flaw. Yeah. So I'm gonna come up a little higher, and then I'll have some left over to use on some tags or something to kind of tie that into the inside of the journal. So that's the plan. So I think the next step is to get this piece glued down. Oops, sorry, throwing my glue, which has got goobers all over it. Let me get this cleaned up a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to just lay this flat right here in the middle, and then, not in the middle, I'm going to lay the glue in the middle. I'm going to lay this flat right here on this edge, and then I think I'm not going to wrap this around. Did I get enough there? Yeah. I am going to cut this off, because it is pretty bulky, and I don't want to wrap this into the inside of the book, especially right here on this edge like this. I think it'll get in my way when I'm finishing off the inside of the book. All right, do I have that sort of straight? Let's pick this up and see. Yeah, I think that's nice. I could probably go over just a little bit further. Scoot it over there. There we go. Straighten it out. And again, I'm just going to pull a little bit here just so it kind of straightens itself out a little bit. Yeah. I think that works. And then we'll let that dry for a second before we trim it off. Okay. Yeah, I like that piece. It's a little bulky, but I think it'll be fine. I think it'll all work. I had a couple options that I was playing with. I had this piece, but it's kind of a pink, so it sort of almost introduces another color. And though I like it actually better, I didn't like the color. And then I played with looking at this piece. I mean, this is like which is beautiful, but it just wasn't working for me. This one is more subtle. It's a subtle color. It's neutral color. So it's not shouldn't mess with me too much. All right, let's cut that off now. I'm just gonna come here on the underside and snip right there, like so. Hopefully I didn't snip that crochet. I can sew that down. So that cuts right there. And we'll do the same over here. This is an old Reader's Digest condensed book cover, by the way, that I covered. It was kind of falling apart a bit. And so I covered it with the fabric. All right. Not too shabby. Okay, that's what we're going to do there. Now, I decided that I want to put this trim, and I want it lined up to where that, you know, the little doily thingy madooders are kind of centered. The little scallops, I think that's what they're called. So on this, let's see. Okay, so let's let those sit for a second. The other thing is I decided I am going to go ahead and use this. There's a lot of options within here. I mean, you could, you know, like I said, I think this particular piece was a pocket. There's pages. And I've got a lot of different ones, but of course I do like the butterfly. And I like that this particular image is pretty simple. There's not, you know, there's not a lot, you know, there's not multiple images. The butterfly fits in the frame nicely. So, and I've got it, it's here, I've got it trimmed. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this piece. And let me go ahead and get this extra up here just so it's not sticking out. I don't need to, but I'm going to anyway. Let's see, top, there we go. This goes like this. I'm just gonna set it on there for now, and then I'll move it around while I push it down. I wanna make sure that he's sort of straight. Yeah, sort of. I'm just gonna push this down on all my sides. And this whole thing will be glued down, so as long as this is tacked on here, we're fine. All right. Yep. So far, so good. All right, let me trim these off. Go. I'm just going to go right here on the edge and go straight up. And same thing here. Go straight that way. And this way. And that way. Okay. All right, now let's see what this does. If I do this, I put this guy here, and I put this guy here. I don't know, guys. I'm still not convinced that I actually like this. How much of this do I have left? Oh, shoot. Not enough. Well, do I? Actually, I do, barely. Decisions, decisions. Decisions, decisions. What if... Do I like that better? I don't like the way that cuts off there. I don't know what I was thinking. But what if I kind of do this and add some to the edge? I don't think I have enough to do that, though. I don't think I have enough of this left over to do that, but that's kind of pretty too. Let's see, do I? Nope. That's not long enough. Okay. So, what if it's only on one side? What is that? What happens then? See, now I'm back to using up covering up my pretty vintage doily. So yeah, I've got these too that I can do something with. Okay, let's go back to this. You know what? I'm either going to love this when I'm done, or I'm going to absolutely hate it and be like, what was I thinking? I do like the brown, but you know what? I just don't like this. I'm going to pull this off. It's still damp enough that I can. And I'll just set that aside and let that dry. I just don't like it like I thought I would. So sometimes I just come back to what's the simple, the simplicity. And the simplicity is this. But I do like the idea of maybe adding a little bit of something extra to that. Yeah. And maybe there's something else. Let's see, I've got another one of those somewhere. Here it is. That's the back. That's the front. Maybe there's another one here. See, now I'm beginning to like this a little bit more. Again, not too terribly busy. I'm going to go back to this. I keep going back to this lace just because I really do like it a lot. But I do want, there. What about it? What about it? That's kind of nice. Maybe we have a winner. Maybe we do. Okay. Yeah, something about that dark color behind this, just really, I just like the way it pops. This is my process though. This is what I do. I just spend, I kind of figure out what kinds of things I have that might look pretty cool with something that I've got, and I just play, and I just keep going back and forth and figuring stuff out, and at some point I say, okay, done, stop. And I think that's where I am now. I'm at okay, done, stop. Okay, so what that means is that I think what I need to do is put these on next, this has got a little string here I'm gonna chop off. Well, I'm gonna attempt to chop off. There we go. So I think we will kind of glue that on like that. So let me do that first. Okay, I'm back. I've got a knob on here. This is not glued. At the very, very end, when I'm finished with the journal, I will, and my end papers are affixed to the inside and all that good stuff. I'll come back in here, take this off, and add some glue into the shaft just so that it is nice and snug. But right now, it's just on here loosely, just to give me a guide so that I don't have to try to poke my hole and later on. So this is where I am. I think this is going to go right here. I need to get this far enough over where, this piece doesn't cause problems. So I'm going to scoot it just a tiny bit. And that is perfect. I'm going to come down just a tiny bit so that my knob is sort of centered with the center of this cork piece, and visually I think that will be a good thing to do. Okay, so, and I also, while I was grabbing the knob, I decided what metal corners I want to put on, and these are gold. They're really pretty, and I think that will be a good addition to finish it off. And again, these go on at the very, very end. It's one of the last things that I do. Okay, wow, so it took me a while to get there, didn't it? It happens, it does. It's just sometimes these things are harder to do than others. Sometimes I have an idea in my head and I sit down to work on it and it just comes together beautifully and it's great. And other times I spend, a whole day trying to figure out what to do. Nature of the beast, it is what it is. And my goal is always to, I don't want all of my journals to look alike, right? I want them all to be unique and different. And so sometimes that's my challenge. I tend I use the same supplies, right, when I'm doing mixed media. And so it's easy to get into a rut where they all look alike. I like crackle paste. I like texture paste, although I didn't use any texture paste, can't talk, on this one. Not yet anyway. I probably will somewhere on the inside maybe. Okay, let's see if I can grab this without getting glue all over my fingers. And we said we wanted that centered roughly there. And I want it far enough over to where this guy isn't sticking out too much. And I want my, I glued my phrase down. Get those pulled back out. Yeah, I think that'll do it. I'm gonna come up here a little higher just to make sure that I'm kind of got that. Yeah, I can go down a little bit. Come over a little bit. And now let's just push and push and push. And I'm going to get some clamps out. Clamp these down. I have clamped things before and made indents, and one of my subby friends reminded me to use a piece of cardstock underneath the clamp, and that prevents the, like, oh yeah, I knew that. It's one of those things where you're like, duh, I forgot about that. So I'm putting this cardstock here to help prevent, that's not big enough or long enough. I need longer clamps. Let's see if I can clamp it this way. See if that works. Barely. I think it'll get me what I need. I don't think that'll hurt the piece any. Let's get some, let's do it this way. Get that on the kind of where that corner is. And let me get some more. Luckily I have 6 of these clamps. Let's see, let's put another one right here. And I want to get that, I don't want to squish on top of the cork. And one more, probably 2 more. Definitely one more there. Right there on what I think is the edge. And let's put one more. Let's see, I need another piece of cardboard, don't I? Got a bunch of little pieces pre-cut. I just have a little stack over here. I can just grab them whenever I need them. All right. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna let that sit for just a few minutes. Got it all nice and pressed down, I think. Oh, maybe I should I'll put some pressure here and here. And rub kind of in here in the center spot. Because that suede goes all the way behind this. So I'm really rubbing the suede down, even though this piece is looser right here. It's not glued directly behind that, so that you didn't see glue coming through. But I think it'll be fine. All right, here's my contraption. I'll be back. And when I come back, I'm gonna glue down these little doily pieces that I added. Get those so they don't grab hold of anything when you're using the journal. So I'll glue those down and the cover will be essentially done. Whew. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. We've let her sit for a bit, so I'm gonna pull my little clamps off here. And hopefully we've got a nice stickiness going on. And she's almost done. Yeah, cool. On there, good. Good and tight. A little string there, let me snip that off. Good and tight. Nice. It's amazing what clamps will do for you. Okay. Just gonna press down here on this edge. Just because I didn't clamp the edges, I just clamped on top of the board. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of pressing here. Make sure that we've got nice and stickiness going on. Okay, almost done. Well, not done. Almost to a point where there's no more that I will do to the cover until after I have sewn in the signatures. I come back to the cover. I know some people do the cover last, and they do that, or at least some I've heard tend to do that because they like to determine the size after they've come up with their guts, or they like the cover to match the guts as opposed to the guts matching the cover. So what I want to do is tack this doily down. I'm using art glitter glue again, so I can kind of get a nice little thin line of glue right here on the edge. I don't want this to end up being, make sure I'm in camera here. I don't want this to end up getting in the way or bending or pulling off when someone's using the journal. So a little bit of glue will go a long way in helping to prevent that from happening. Losing my grip here. But you see right here, when I tacked down this suede piece, the fringe got folded up underneath there, this little fringy edge here. And so I've got this little gap now. Oops. Oh, well. All right. Something else. So I'm not going to do anything. When I find myself in these kinds of little dilemmas, I find that the best thing to do is to step away for a minute or a day and take a look at it from a different perspective, a different day, a different mood, and see if I still, if that's still going to drive me absolutely nuts, or maybe there's something else that goes there. Maybe there's a little metal piece, or, maybe it's not a piece of lace or trim. Maybe it's, I don't know. Maybe it's something completely different. So, got to step away, walk away. For now, I'm going to call this done. And we'll make decisions later. Plenty more to do. And so here's kind of the way we're going to look once these get put on, which I think adds a nice finish. And to see, I may feel differently too. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see how I feel. Okay, so for now, that's it. That's what she looks like. And again, it's still a mixed media cover. I didn't do a ton. We've got but I got a lot of fun lace going on. And this is what she'll look like closed. So I like it. I like it. I think it's gonna work. And now we're on to the next steps. And the next steps are going to be to work on the pages on the inside. I've gotten both Susan's kits and Tracy's kits printed out. And so I'm just now going to start putting those pages together. Once I have the actual pages together, then I will start with focusing on some more decoration or some things, pull some things from my stash, make some new things, and really begin to pull this little guy together. So we're getting there. Thank you for watching. And again, I do hope you all are staying safe and well and washing your hands regularly, every hour. But I do hope you all are well and not going too terribly crazy. So enjoy the time that you do have, the extra time you do have, if you have extra time. Personally, I don't, because I'm still working full-time, working from home, but working full-time. And I found that my, what was my commute time, I'm actually in the morning, I tend to use it for relaxing, drinking a cup of coffee and kicking back and just relaxing, maybe playing a game of Candy Crush. And then in the evening, I'm starting dinner a little earlier is all. So I do have more time, but I think I'm being lazy. so it doesn't feel like I have more time. So now when I have to physically go back to the office, it's going to be like, but anyway, the point is that we are all doing well. We are definitely surviving, and I hope you are as well. So until next time, bye.